Hello, amazing souls. Welcome to the Soul Vibe Insights Podcast, a show to demystify the soul, intuition, and the Akashic Records. We know a thing or two about the ups and downs of being on a spiritual growth plan and how to find the higher perspective, even when it seems like there isn't one. I'm your host, Maddie Hollingsworth.
And I'm your host, Emily Pearl. We've been professional intuitives and energy healers for over 20 years now. We believe each of us are on a unique path of growth and learning, and our intuition is meant to be our guide. The problem is, most of us have never learned how to use it. That's where we come in, helping you discover how your intuition works and the lessons your soul has chosen to learn in this life is what we're all about.
All right, y'all, let's jump right into today's show. Hello, amazing souls, and welcome to today's show. Emily and I want to talk to you about something that we do pretty much on the daily, on the regular, and that's connecting with our spirit guides.
Consulting with them, meeting with them, asking them questions, getting guidance, getting answers, all kinds of things. Hello and welcome.
So we just really want to dive into what are spirit guides like and tell you about our experiences and everything we've learned over the years working with our guide team. All right, y'all. So without further ado, let's jump right in and tell you that spirit guides are all about your highest good. And in contrast, using divine assistance is more about the highest good of all, which would encompass us ourselves too.
Yeah, but it's just more general. It's like more about the what's best in the highest good of the universe. And it seems like when you work with divine assistance, and when Maddie says divine assistance, he's talking about like working with archangels or working with gods and goddesses, those types of beings. When you're working with those types of beings, well, I guess God and goddesses, you'll actually get a little bit more specialized guidance. But when you're working with like archangels, you'll definitely get like, behold. I don't know. That seems to be, I get that word a lot when I've like channeled archangels.
I just feel like the main difference for me is the guidance is very relative when I'm working with divine energy for myself. But I think I could take myself out and you could plug anyone else in, and that guidance would be pretty relative for them as well.
Yeah.
Where working with my personal spirit guides and my guide team, it's very pointed to me. There's almost like this personal relationship energy. They know me well. There's giggling and kind of jokes and kind of matter of fact like speaking and bluntness, kind of like I am in real life. A little bit of this back and forth, unless I'm just on a tear asking a bunch of questions, then it's me asking questions and receiving guidance. But I just feel like it's much more pointed and you couldn't really just plug any other human in and it makes sense for them.
Oh, yeah.
And their life.
Yeah, definitely. Your personal spirit guides have known you for a long time, or at least they got your file. They have been caught up on your entire existence. So they definitely are there to help you with your personal issues, if you will, and give you guidance on your personal situation in your highest good based on like what you're wanting to accomplish in your life and what your life goals are and what your life lessons are. So they have the overview of all of that. So they're like, okay, so your guidance is more based on wanting to help you achieve those goals in the best way they can help.
Absolutely. They know the outline of the plan of potential possibilities for your life that your soul was making in a light body and spirit before you incarnated to be here and took on spiritual amnesia to forget that plan of potential probabilities that you hope to achieve, or not even hope to achieve, that you just hope to get experience from.
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong or achievement or unachievement. It's just all experience that your soul takes in, and you get to know yourself better and grow as a human and grow as a soul. Your guide team definitely has an idea of this plan and wants to help guide you towards that and will steer you that way, depending on what you're seeking guidance on, for sure. It's interesting to note that spirit guides for our earthly incarnations, they have been to Earth. So they have completed enough earthly incarnations to kind of reach a level of wholeness, if you will, on the soul level that makes them qualified enough to teach and lead us on our paths of incarnation when we're seeking guidance. So this isn't somebody that has never had experience here in the 3D, being in the energy of consciousness and emotions and the disconnection of spirituality because we came here with that amnesia. So they've had these experiences before.
Basically, they know how fucked up Earth can be.
We all know
Sum it up like that.
Life's a little messy. It's all the things. Each of us has anywhere between 4 and 7 spirit guides. We will all have one main guide that has been with us through the entirety of our existence, through all of our lifetimes. So this guide has been here from the beginning until the now, if you will, in our linear time concepts. And then we have other guides that might be here for the whole of this lifetime, and some that come and go during this life, depending on what's going on in our life and what we need at that time frame that we're experiencing.
Yeah. For example, if you are wanting to take on a more intuitive life, you may have a specific guide that comes to help with that. Or if you were wanting to start like a specific business in a specific area, then you may have a guide come in to help you on that path. There's a plethora of different special trainings that your guides have had that they come here to help you with. So it just really depends on basically what your choices are and which way you go. And then they're like, all right, you're up, you know?
Yeah, tag, you're in.
Path. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
I just mentioned that we all have one main guide that's been here since the beginning. So let's talk a little bit more about that, the main spirit guide that's been with us for the entirety of our existence, if you will.
Yeah, what kind of roles does the spirit guide help with?
This guide is going to kind of oversee your guide team and be around for personal connections when you call on them to help with your life now. But this guide is also going to be with you when you're in a light body, in spirit, and you're not incarnated on earth, and you're making the plans for what you want to accomplish, like what you're wanting to learn from and have the experiences, and what are your motivations for coming here, helping choose your justified karma, like your life lessons. So you'll work with your main spirit guide and what we call reishi souls that specialize in earthly incarnations and planning your future, like kind of incarnated lifetimes. And sometimes you'll be even planning out several in a row to kind of work through things. I want to go be with this family so I can learn these things and have these experiences in this environment, and then move to this next family the next time. So you're not always just planning the next one. Sometimes it's a few out, but this main guide really knows you this whole time, knows your motivations, knows what you're really into, and can help you see the bigger picture sometimes when you're starting to get presented with options and choices for your incarnations and what could be going on for you depending on the choices you make when you're here as a human. Because I liken it to your soul's writing a check that your human butt has to cash, if you will.
And most of the time we get to Earth and we're like, oh God, what have we done to ourselves?
Yeah.
Because when you're in spirit, everything's all great and fun, and there's no judgment, there's no density.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong. There's no positive or negative that we kind of have these judgments about our experiences here. We're just thinking about, oh, I'm going to get this experience. It's going to be great. That's pretty much the gist when you're in spirit in a light body. It's just all going to be great. And as we know, being here, it's wonderful, but it's all the things, and not all of them are great experiences.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the things that we've seen with our clients is the density factor. A lot of people, if you come from a planet that is really high vibrational, or you were maybe a light body and didn't actually have a body on that planet, you may have more of a difficulty adjusting to the density of Earth because there's all the energies here. And not to mention, I mean, we've mentioned this on previous podcasts where we have the physical body, we have the emotional body, we have the mental body, we have the, am I missing one? I feel like spiritual body. Duh. So we have all of these different energies coming together here on Earth, and so it makes it a little bit more challenging to adjust, and it definitely depends on what kind of vibration you're bringing with you, and also it depends on what percentage of your soul you're bringing with you as well. Like basically what your soul, you can think of your soul as like your power box or your battery pack So like what percentage of that are you bringing with you to help you like really power through the challenges here on Earth?
The more soul energy you bring, the more energy, the more willpower you have for seeing things done, more of a connection here in the earth plane, as opposed to where the rest of your soul, your higher self, back in spirit, where you have that open line, that connection, once you learn how to cultivate that intuitive connection to your higher self. But having the energy here is usually a big boost to what you can accomplish, what you can get done, how quickly awareness and higher perspectives come to you. We found that a lot of people bring about 50-ish% of their soul to their incarnations, sometimes less, sometimes more. That's another choice that you get to make.
Yeah.
So
many choices. So if we have not made this clear, there is a lot of planning that goes into each incarnation. A lot of planning goes into you being here right now.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about all the choices you make in a day, and what if you made different choices that lead to different things? This is the kind of potential probabilities that your soul's looking at when it's making plans for what's going to go on and how you're going to make these choices, and it's going to align. And sometimes it doesn't seem to matter what choices you make. You're kind of intuitively getting steered in a certain direction, and you're going to end up there anyways. That's kind of the point of planning out these potential probabilities that your soul's going through, but it's just infinite at what lies ahead and all the choices we make in a lifetime. It's kind of mind-boggling to think about. A lot of that was thought of before you came. So something pretty cool that happens with your main spirit guide when you're back after you're done with your earthly incarnation, and sometimes before you come to one, is they will accompany you to a council of elders meeting. And the council of elders they oversee it all. Not just your lifetime, but they're overseeing many main spirit guides and all of the people that they help guide. All the souls, if you will. So this is kind of like you get to check in occasionally with them and look at the main arc of all your lifetimes and, get a lowdown on how you're doing. Do they have any tips, any advice that they want to give to you and stuff? And these are pretty wild experiences. Emily and I have met with our council of elders in a life between lifetimes hypnosis session.
Yeah, and one other time for me in a guided meditation.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me about that now. Pretty cool.
It is a very mind-blowing experience, really, because it literally is almost like you're sitting in a boardroom with a bunch of beings. I mean, I'm not going to say people because they definitely don't come through like humans, and they just tell you how you're doing, how you're doing in your life. Luckily they try not to, of course it's all non-judgmental, so they just give you gentle nudges saying, you could do this better, or you're doing a great job, you're following the plan, you're not as far off course as you think. So it's very helpful and also, uplifting as well. And sometimes they give you little symbols or some sort of trinket or something to take with you. Like, for example, when I was in my Life Between Lifetime sessions, I know my guide, he was like, okay, do the elders, we call them the Council of Elders. There's a million other names for them. It's really, personal to the person, what they actually call this group of people to them. But my guide asked if there was anything that they wanted to pass along to me or to give to me, and I just remember all of a sudden I had this enormous gold key in my hand. No instruction, no this is what it's for, no nothing. It's like, okay, now I have this mystery to figure out. And I have definitely gotten some hints along the way what it is for, but it's just a really kind of crazy thing. It was literally as real as just somebody coming and handing me a giant key. And it was beautiful and gold. And it looked like an Ottoman key from like Turkey. It was cool.
Yeah.
What was your council of elders like?
The wild thing for me is reading different stories of how people interpret them. And, quite often it's It's the old wise man sages or whatever up there, in their council of elders. But for me, it was like being taken to the very front of the classroom in the desk, and I'm sitting there, and then in the desk kind of behind me off to the side is my main guide. Like I could feel their presence. But when I looked up, I didn't see a council of elders per se. What I saw was a 25 feet wide by 15 feet tall amethyst crystal. Council of elders is usually beings of energy, and as my guide was asking questions and I was receiving guidance, it was all claircognizance. It was just a knowing. It was telepathic like communication. But in different areas of this crystal, it would like light up, and it would just be like bloop, 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 and lights would be flashing in this one little area, and my attention would kind of go to the left, and I'd be like, okay, yep, got it. And then another question would come out, and my attention would go to the right, and there would just be flashes of lights and like bloop, 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 and I'd be like, yep, okay, got it. So I just was hanging out with this huge crystal, and above the council of elders was this like open dome like building, and it was the deepest, blackest, like purple I'd ever seen. And it felt like perfected source energy was like observing, like just hanging out, if you will.
That's crazy.
And at one point, we're talking about my life's missions and how I've kind of strung a bunch of lives together to work off a lot of karma. And I got to see the first moment that this happened, and there was this almost like ascended master-like being that just made this noise that was like a big Viking horn blowing or something, and it was just like, wah! It was freaking incredible, the sound rippling through my body, and it like shifted my energy. And then I saw millions of souls jumping to go to Earth at the same time. It was like the call of the wave had happened. And all of these souls were coming to basically live their life here and start to filter out a lot of the negativity and the violence, and to shift things and to break cycles. And this was a multiple lifetime type of experiment that was going to go on. So that was
all in your council of
that
elders?
was in the council of elders
wow.
meeting. It was pretty cool. Like that, I remembered the big crystal, but it just popped in my head that's when I found out about my life mission was actually like 5-fold lifetimes that I've been planning and working through to work on karma and to have these experiences to break cycles and put an end to the bullshit that's going on here. And that there's actually like Earth's vibration is changing, and there are a lot of cycle breakers here. I mean, there were so many flashes of soul lights jumping into Earth. It was millions.
Wow.
It was a cool experience. Pretty cool to relive it as I'm telling it right now.
That's awesome. Well, let's get back to spirit guides.
So one of the last cool things that happens is at the end of past life regression sessions, and we experience this with our mentor and teacher, and this is what we do with our sessions now, is that we leave the earth plane on the last day, and we go up into the astrals, and we meet with your main spirit guide. And that's who attends the meeting.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's so awesome. If you've never had this kind of connection before, now you get basically a face-to-face with your main spirit guide, and we make sure to like, hey, what's the connection? What's your energy signal like? What's your signature here? How's this communication work? How can they tap in with you? And you have this connection forever.
Yeah.
Like, because of this, I have a connection to my main spirit guide forever. It has never wavered. It's just been there since the first time we've met. And it's like, I've been here forever, dude. Yo. I'm like, oh my God, you have. I know I know this feeling. I know this. Yeah. That's one of the super cool things about these past life regressions and the spirit guide meetings at the end is they're there and you get to meet them.
Yeah. And that's definitely the same way for me. And for our clients that we've spoken to, they've said the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, we have one-on-ones all the time. I'm in total connection with them. And it's just so cool. Just the amount of wisdom that comes through. And it's so cool too, because there is this tons of wisdom that comes through, and then there's also a lot of and you know that they're like speaking
Absolutely.
telepathically with each other, and it's just like I know everything, I know the meaning for everything now. It's just so funny. I mean, so funny, but so freaking cool. Just so amazing.
Yeah, I've been on the other side of it, but it is really neat when you're guiding the session, and sometimes they're speaking exactly what they're hearing, and then other times, like you said, just
It's just
yep,
too much stuff is coming through.
It is. I know what that's like it to formulate words to speak back out, but then it's amazing like how much is there that for us, and we're just not aware yet. But once you're aware, it doesn't really go away. You may need some remembrances here or there, but once you're aware you have a main spirit guide and how to connect with them, it's there. And the information is shared and it's there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is one of the things about communicating with your spirit guides is they are typically used to speaking telepathically. So like we've been saying, like in the spiritual regressions, like with our clients and what we've experienced personally as well, when we are communicating with our spirit guides, there is a lot of like telepathy going on. So basically, you just kind of have all of this information like implanted into your mind or into your head, and it's like you just get the point. You just understand what they're trying to convey to you in a very short amount of time. And spirit guides can be very literal, almost to an annoying point. You would think that they would just kind of know what you're thinking or exactly what you mean, but that is not always the case. You do have to be very careful. I mean, I'm not putting words of caution out, but you do have to have some sort of carefulness with the words that you choose because they will answer you literally. So if you're using a lot of like lingo or if you're using a lot of slang, chances are you're probably not going to get very pointed guidance because they may not understand exactly what you are trying to ask. So it's very good to formulate questions very literally. Would you agree?
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Especially when working with a pendulum and yes and no's question answers, to get just really quick, accurate answers like that. I definitely think it really matters. I mean, just recently, there's been a lot of snow in Colorado where we're at, and we wanted to go visit friends. And then it started snowing a whole bunch.
Oh, I'm so sad. And of course, it's the only day it snowed.
Wait,
It's the day that we were supposed to go visit. Or, I mean, like, bad.
It just kept snowing. If it would have just snowed and left, they would have cleared the roads and everything would have been great. But so Emily and I are really looking forward to hanging with our friends. We've been kind of cooped up in the house. I mean, this was going to be awesome to get out of here. We're going to take sweet baby little Aspen puppy with us. They've got a couple dogs, and so the puppies were going to run around. We were going to chill with our buddies. We were really looking forward to this. But as the weather's worsening and it's just not improving, we're starting to feel this may not be the best for us to make the drive down there and get through the roads. And we got confirmation that the roads were sloppy and messy. But as I'm checking in with my guides, I'm asking, is going to Denver to see our friends in our highest good? And I'm getting yes. And I'm like, wow, really? Okay.
Awesome. Let's go.
Is the weather not as intense or as bad as I think? No. Oh, so it is as intense and bad down in Denver too? Yes. But it's in our highest good to go visit our friends in Denver. Yes. So I'm just like, I'm confused at this point because I know this is going to be a shit show drive. I also know that we're cautious and have all-wheel drive and we'll get there and then we'll have a great time. And then I finally dawned on me, if it's in our highest good to go see our friends in Denver, is it in our highest good to go today? No. I'm like, well, why not today? Well, because it's terrible weather. Why would you go driving today? And I'm like, oh my God. You know that I'm basically asking about today.
I'm asking about the weather.
And then the guidance is like, well, but you never said today. And I'm like, you win, you get it. So sometimes it can literally be literal. That's one of the things that working with your guides is just be open to the fact that you might be getting answers to the literal questions you're asking if it seems off or just not right. Think about the question you're asking and the answer you're getting. Is that really the question you want to ask and the way you want to ask it?
Exactly. That's why we recommend asking lots of questions and like asking the same thing in lots of different ways.
Absolutely.
I mean, that can get a little bit confusing depending on how many ways you ask it, but you definitely want to try to cover all bases, essentially. If you're looking for guidance, on a certain thing, you definitely want to cover all the angles so that you do get the guidance that you're looking for.
So I did want to mention quite often with your spirit guides, your guide team, the 4 to 7, that you will often have some sort of connection to them. You will have incarnated with them or known them somewhere. Quite often this is a past incarnation on Earth where your souls did some work together and became friends and had a really good time, and then you got to know each other and did other incarnations. And now they're one of your spirit guides. You can also meet your spirit guides when you're doing in between your human lifetimes trainings up in spirit as a way to be in service to all souls and to the divinity, the creator, the spirit, the God, goddess, the universe. We all kind of take on roles where we train so we can help creation out. And there's a lot of other souls that we meet along the way. You could have made friends that way, and they are joining up to be your guide because of that connection. I did want to jump in and just say that for me personally, my Akashic Record spirit guides, when I met them, and I found out that my connection, I have 2. There's no right or wrong number. It could just be one or several, but the 2 that I have, I'm a starseed soul. So originally my soul incarnated somewhere else besides Earth as its original home. And that home is in the Vega star system. And my Akashic Record spirit guides are my original mother and twin brother from my very first incarnation that my soul ever had. And I felt that resonance deeply. The mothering energy, the, hey bro, how's it going? Just this kind of fun loving. I know that we had a good time together. We got into some troubles and made a mess of things and had a lot of fun in Vega for sure.
Yeah, it will be interesting when we start training people in the Akashic Records and with their attunement, because I'm curious, because my Akashic Record guide is also my mother from my very first incarnation. My first incarnation was in the star system of Spica. I would be interested to know if that's the case with a lot of people, if it's a lot of people's first, mothers from their first incarnation, or if that's just kind of because you and I are obviously in the same soul group, soulmates, so maybe that's just kind of what we chose for ourselves or something. But that would be interesting to know.
I'm very curious myself to see
so
what our
there's people
students'
out there
connections
that know
are.
their Akashic Records spirit guides. That would be an interesting question to know. Or just how do you know them? How do you know them from your past?
Yeah. How did your souls get to know each other?
Yeah.
That would be super cool. There's always a link to an email in the show description.
Yeah, that would be so cool to know. Your spirit guides have their own personalities too. And it will come across the more you work with them and you get to know their energy. Like Maddie was saying, when he first met his guides, he knew right away that, he knew these beings before. And I definitely felt like that same amount of comfort just knowing my guide. She comes through as just energy. So it's just more like I feel her presence there with me. So that's kind of cool. So they can come through in many different ways. What do your guides come through like?
My main spirit guide, I'll talk about this because this cracks me up every time when I've tried to get a visual of the energy of Alcyon and just, hey, what do you look like? Basically. And what I get is a kind of crystalline sheet, if you will. So if you've ever looked at quartz crystal in the sunlight and you've got this clear, kind of milky white quartz crystal with the sun shimmering in, and you get these purples and turquoise and teals kind of shimmering through it. So I get this sheet thrown over a theater spotlight. So there's just this big bright light shooting through, and then I can feel the presence of this huge smile and just giggling at
Like
me.
I'm messing with you.
Exactly. Like I know it's just Alcyon's just messing with me, having a good time, because in the end, I know it doesn't matter what I would perceive visually and stuff. So I just kind of like, I don't want to get caught up on the looks and things. So that's just getting messed with, and I love it that there's this goofiness, and we kind of get that, and I laugh often when I'm working with my main spirit guide and stuff. It's like there's a friendship, and at the same time, it's my mentor, if you will. You know, it's my soul's mentor and guide, but I know that we've had some friendship, and you know that we've kind of slipped into that realm too. I feel like our souls have.
Yeah. Yeah, my main spirit guide comes through as like a bright turquoise and purple light, just like in gold. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's like a light show every time, you know? But yeah, that's how Avery appears, which is pretty cool. And he definitely, I wouldn't say he's like a jokester, but he definitely likes to mess with technology sometimes. And I feel like he's set up a lot of like mysteries and riddles for me to solve along in my lifetime. And I definitely like that kind of thing. I definitely love to solve riddles. And once I found out that that's kind of like what intuition is all about, you'll get a little nugget or you'll get like a little hint. And then it's like you have to kind of follow the breadcrumb trail to find the whole picture or to learn the entire story. And so I definitely think that Avery kind of sets that stuff up.
Well, I'd say we've definitely talked in the past about, you know, when you're getting intuitive guidance and you want the final end step to the 50-point plan, you're really going to get the first step or two. You're going to get that nugget, and then depending on how that changes you and the action you take and the new awareness or perspective or what you go through, then you'll get the next step and the next step along this path, if you will, leading to not an end point, but more the result you're looking for, or what you were trying to set up or learn or grow from. It's usually not just one thing, and it's like, oh, I know it all now. It's like, one, well, how does this change you? Who are you now? Oh, okay, cool. This is what you did with it, so now here's the next piece of information.
Right, exactly.
You know, so I find that rather fascinating when you're working with intuition in general. My main spirit guide loves to use like metaphors and phrases that I understand and have used in my life as well. I mentioned earlier when I found out that I'd kind of set up a 5-point plan for multiple lifetimes to kind of achieve balancing karma and working through cycle breaking in my ancestral lineages. And at one point when I was having a meeting with my main spirit guide, I was in a little bit of a lower swing. I was feeling like, hey, you know, this seems really rough to me. I feel tired in my soul. Like it's too much. You know I can do this, but I'm just feeling kind of low right now. Like, what's the deal here? And my spirit guide says, well, your soul makes plans in spirit that's essentially the equivalent of biting off more than you can chew. That's how you like to do it. And you set up a 5-lifetime plan here. You're at the end of that plan. You probably are a little tired, but you've been doing great. You can do this. Yeah, you've had some rough patches. But you've had some pretty cool stuff too if you take a moment and think about it. I was just like, biting off more than I can chew. Yep, I've used that phrase. Totally understand what you're getting at. That's just kind of the soul I am, huh? My eyes are bigger than my stomach. You know, like, okay, I got you, buddy. All right. So I get guidance in metaphors a lot too, which is fun. You know, it just feels very personal.
So I feel like in closing, we should talk about how one does meet their guide. I know we've kind of covered a little bit about that already and how we've met our spirit guides. But let's talk a little bit about how, if you are somebody who is wanting to meet your spirit guide, how can we help you achieve that?
Well, I would love to guide you on a past life regression and spirit guide meeting. So if you've got something going on in your life that you can't quite pinpoint, or you're feeling blocked in an area, there is a high probability that the energy didn't start in this lifetime. By doing a past life regression, we can connect to where that began, bring the awareness from how things took shape, and help you get a new, higher perspective for that, which is extremely healing. And it's extremely empowering to know where something began, and helps you to really get a hold of these energies in your life when they are popping up. And then at the end, we're going to go meet your spirit guide, and then you'll have a connection forever. So that would be the first thing that jumps out to me right away is let's have a session together.
Yeah, and the cool thing about these sessions are that you can talk to your spirit guide about anything. You can ask them any questions that you possibly want. Because it starts with the past life regression, typically the past life that comes up has something to do with the themes that you're wanting to know about at the end anyway. They do typically tie together. And sometimes it shows a block, like some sort of limited belief or a lifetime where a limited belief started that is blocking you from whatever it is that you're wanting to know about with your spirit guide meeting. So they are very powerful sessions, and you will have your connection to your spirit guide forever.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. Once it's there, it is forever. And we get to this portion of your session, and we're making sure that all the loose ends from the past life are tied up and why you were shown that life. But then you have submitted these prearranged questions that we'll start asking on your behalf about anything. I mean, this is relative to your life now. So it just gets super cool and interesting. It's my favorite portion of these sessions is when we go meet with the person's guide.
For sure. And then the very first way that we met our spirit guide, I mean, even after 20 years of intuitive work, we had never had like a personal relationship with our intuition until we had our Akashic Record attunement. And this is very exciting. I know we kind of talked about it before and teased it a little bit, but we've had to push back the date a little bit due to family emergency type stuff. But we are going to be offering a how to access the Akashic Record course, and it will include an Akashic Record attunement where you will meet and be placed together with your Akashic Record spirit guide. And that was extremely powerful for me when I got my Akashic Record attunement, and we have done a lot of research and we've done a lot of energy work, and we've really created an amazing Akashic Record attunement. And
yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and we recorded it, and it's pre-recorded. That way you'll have your personal ceremony with it. I mean, we're definitely going to give you all kinds of guidance, how to make the best of it, but you will listen to it on your own, and you will have your own personal journey with it. You'll go to the Akashic Records for the first time, and you will always have a way back after this attunement, and you will get to meet your Akashic Record spirit guide, and you will always have this connection with your guide or guides.
Every time you go, they're the ones there to help you.
Yeah. It's like you just find them, and it's like, okay, what do you need to know? And they're just there to always help you with any question that you have or any kind of guidance that you need, and it is extremely powerful.
Yeah, we'll be teaching you how to locate your own soul's record and to do research within that and to clear out all the other noise and just tap into your own soul when you're doing your intuitive work. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm so excited. This has definitely been something that we've been creating for years now, and then we've kept tabling it because we want to like learn more and this and that, but I feel like we could have probably taught this years ago, but I feel like I'm definitely ready. It's just definitely more in alignment with us right now to be teaching it, and I couldn't be more excited about sharing this knowledge.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
With others.
When we think back, I didn't realize 3 years ago that I was working towards teaching how to access the Akashic Records and to work with your own spirit guides and to open soul records and to do not the research that we do for our soul journey readings, but just to research in your own record and how to connect to your soul's energy for whatever personal guidance you're looking for. I didn't realize that that was coming, but here about a year ago, I started to realize that this is where it's heading.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm excited about this. And we've just gotten so much stronger in our connection and how we do this since it became like real for me that this is where we're headed. It just seems like so many more pieces have fallen into the place and so many more experiences I've had that are like, oh, and then I'm thinking, oh, great, I can do this and this will be wonderful information for our students. It's just been super cool experience on my personal end, knowing that we're coming to this point and that we're going to offer our first beta session at the end of February. I'm super excited about this.
Yes, we're so excited. So if that is something that you are interested in, if you would like to have this connection with the Akashic Records for yourself and with your Akashic Records spirit guide, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to be getting either a wait list or just a sign-up sheet ready soon, and you'll get more information about it.
Yay.
So excited. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun talking about spirit guides and giving you a few personal anecdotes and experiences and what it's like for us. This is pretty much our daily life.
Yeah, it's so cool. And, we could probably do another podcast on this and talk about some of the other points that we want to talk about. But we really enjoyed today. And thank you all so much for tuning in.
We'll catch you later. Have a wonderful week.